Hey everybody, welcome to today's episode of the Rained Out Rancast. I'm your host, Chris. Today's episode is a short one. I think it's like 16 minutes. This is a conversation between me and former Minnesota Governor Jesse Ventura on the platform Clubhouse, which I keep telling you guys to get on and join these conversations. I educate the governor, former host of the world according to Jesse on RT News, which it's canceled right now. But I go ahead and educate him on Charles Lieber, the Azov battalion, generational Nazis, lies, and he's an amazing mental gymnast. Does the most amazing cognitive acrobatics that you could ever hear from someone in his position, who used to have a TV show called Conspiracy Theories with Jesse Ventura, but it was on the TV channel, the network True TV, which everything on True TV is scripted, and none of it is true. It's ironically nothing is true on True TV. But go ahead, be sure to share this one out. This one's a good one, I think. It just shows hypocrisy and the fact that Jesse, is here telling people what to think when he has no idea what he's talking about. Yeah, so follow Twitter at Rained Out Rant, Facebook. Tell your friends, tell your mother I love her. Peace.
To Al-Qaeda and weapons of mass destruction. All lies perpetrated by, getting back to the original Garrett's position, the Bush-Cheney regime.
Yep.
Here, hey, I lost a job. This is my second job. I'm pissed off. This is my second job I've lost as a result of an invasion of a country.
Yeah.
Because I lost my job at MSNBC because I opposed the invasion of Iraq, me and Phil Donahue.
Yeah.
We opposed that, and we weren't going to be let on the air. After all, our country wasn't going to allow two people like me and Phil Donahue to actually raise up the question of why are we invading Iraq. They didn't have nothing to do with 9/11.
Exactly. Garrett, thank you very much for coming up, man. Great.
Thanks,
Thank
Garrett.
you guys so much. Thank you, Governor. Thank you, Tyrell. Have a great
Very
day.
good. Thank you, Garrett.
All right.
That's, I'm pissed off over that. This is my second job I've lost.
Mm-hmm.
Because I stood for peace.
Yeah.
And I'll say it before, hey, I'm lucky.
Mm-hmm.
John and Bobby Kennedy and Martin Luther King stood for peace, and John Lennon, look what happened to them.
The least of our problems is that you lost a job, in terms of what could have happened.
When I look at the big picture, I actually feel, I got by lucky standing up for peace.
Right. Hey, man, Rand joining us. Rand, how you doing? Questions or comments for the governor?
How's it going, guys?
Good, Rand.
Hey, I don't know if you guys have talked ever about Charles Lieber. Have you ever heard that name?
Give me that name
Charles
again.
Lieber.
Charles Lieber, Lieber.
No, I knew a Ben Lieber played linebacker for the Vikings.
Well, Charles Lieber, he was the leading nanobiotech scientist at Harvard University, and he was arrested back in 2020 at the beginning of the pandemic, and it turned out that China, the CCP, had actually built him a lab inside of the Wuhan Technical Institute, paid him millions and millions of dollars to design and build. What do you think they paid him money
Design
for?
and build what?
What do you think he was designing?
Well, he was convicted of lying to federal authorities about his affiliation with the People's Republic of China's Thousand Talents program and the Wuhan University of Technology in Wuhan, China, for failing to report income he received from.
They built him a lab. He had his own apartment
Yeah, he didn't declare it to Internal Revenue Service, and that got him into pretty deep trouble.
Two of his they were posing as students. They were Chinese military. They were arrested at Boston National Airport, I believe, in January of 2020.
Yeah, it's like the Department of Justice, what I'm looking at, was December 21st, 2021 was when he was convicted of making false statements and tax offenses. Yeah.
Yes. And he's going to prison, but I mean, Harvard still has them proudly displayed on their website as Department of Chemistry and Chemical Biology, Charles Lieber. I mean, is what's really going on here?
Hell if I know.
Now, do you know that
I'll tell you why. You know what my tie-in to this always is? I go back to when I did the show Conspiracy Theory, right? When we did that thing on Plum Island.
Yeah, Plum Island. Yeah.
So anytime I start hearing this stuff about laboratories and producing biological or chemical weapons, it flashes me back to doing conspiracy theory when we did the story on Plum Island. And for those that don't know, that's the infamous island that they offered to Hannibal Lecter in Silence of the Lambs, where they told him he could run on the beach and do this and do that when they were trying to get the information out of him in the movie. But that's so I know that's off on a different end, Rant, but that's what I kind of always come back to when I get people telling me about government-run things happening in labs.
Mm-hmm. And
because I'm a firm believer they created that Lyme disease came out of there.
Okay. Yes, Lyme disease, and then the tick population. It was spread through the tick population.
Right, exactly. But it originated on Plum Island, and some tick or something got off that island that was infected, and the first reported case was in Lime County, Connecticut.
Yes. So we're looking at lies and corruption, correct, throughout the, I would say, medical. I'm assuming pharmaceuticals has something to do with Plum Island and also with Harvard's Department of Chemistry and Chemical Biology. They're all
I don't know
together, correct? Well, I mean,
I taught at Harvard. I taught at Harvard, but I was never in the chemistry lab at all there.
Well, I mean,
I was in the John F. Kennedy School of Government.
Yeah, you can look at their website and see, who funds them and where the grants come from.
Sure.
And another thing, what do you think of the Robert Hunter Biden laptop situation?
I haven't followed it.
I
haven't even paid attention to it because
I could play a 20-minute montage of mainstream media telling us it was a Russian hoax and a lie.
And then it turned out that it was the laptop was actually his, and it was.
How much do you think the media and the government lies?
They do plenty. To be honest with you, Rant,
I remember listening
because, like I said, they wouldn't let me on the air because I opposed the invasion of Iraq.
Mm-hmm.
And I was the hottest commodity out there. I was the voice of the independent. I had just come out of office. They signed me to a 3-year contract. And it was a very nice contract for a kid from South Minneapolis, who grew up by Lake Street, in South Minneapolis. And I signed the contract with them, and they were building the show in Minneapolis. I had Rachel Maddow's spot where she's at 7:00 at night. They built the show. They're producers, directors. It's going to be done from Minneapolis, a Midwest perspective, the whole thing. And all of a sudden, we got a phone call. And one of my subordinates took it, and the question was, is it true Governor Ventura doesn't support the invasion of Iraq? Because this was in 2003, and the invasion was coming up. And the subordinate said no. He's vehemently opposed. He said it's Vietnam all over again. No. Next question was, well, does Connecticut know about this, which is the upper echelon, whoever. And at the time, MSNBC was the parent owner was GE, General Electric, huge war contractor.
Is it?
And wait, and then the third question came, the most important one. Is there a chance Governor Ventura would change his mind?
Mm-hmm.
Subordinate, nope. Yeah, I guarantee he's not gonna. And he was right. There would nothing that would change my mind about the invasion of Iraq. And it cost. Now, what happened to me? My show was canceled, wasn't put on the air. They aired a couple little things on Saturday, and then got rid of us. But they paid me the entire 3 years. And part of the contract, I couldn't do any other TV network news. I couldn't even do anything on cable or television. They owned me, and I honor contracts and they paid me all 3 years and basically bought my silence as they pulled Phil Donahue from the air, and I assume they paid off Phil too.
That's the beauty of the contract, right?
Well,
and Rand, look, you're mentioning about, how often does government lie to us or media lie to us? It's one of those things where, of course they do all the time. Sometimes they might lie for the best of intentions that aren't nefarious, but
have they ever, during time of crisis or war, been 100% transparent?
No, because I mean, even if you go
probably
back
not,
has every war,
Yeah.
Jesse,
Because
you were against the Iraqi war, right? Because we were lied into that war, correct? Has not every single war that the United States government has been involved in that has dragged the people through and took our tax dollars? Look at the money that was left in Afghanistan, over 800 and something thousand vehicles was left of our tax money.
Oh,
And
yeah,
every
absolutely.
Every war has been
And
lied.
yet,
Every war has
Rand,
been lied in. What's different about this one?
nothing. And Rand,
Exactly.
let's look at it from this way too. Notice how the Dems and Repubs will approve the money for war with bipartisan support and the snap of their fingers.
And
yet,
Nazi
if you
regime
ask
in
them
the
to do
Azov
something
army.
for the people of the country that we would all benefit to make our living better, oh my God, you ain't passing that and wasting that money.
And what do you think about us sending money to the Azov battalion? If they beat Russia, let's say hypothetically the Azov battalion, which is growing in numbers and spreading.
Who's the Azov battalion?
You don't know who the Azov battalion? That is the National Guard in Ukraine.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Just call them the Ukrainian. For me, break it down for me. It's called the Ukrainians against the Russians.
Governor, they're open Nazis, Governor.
They're what? Open Nazis?
They're neo-Nazis.
I don't buy that crap.
You can look it up right now.
Well, I can look up plenty of things, and I'll tell you why. How do they have a Jewish? Wait a minute. How do they have a Jewish president who wins with 70% of the vote if they're all Nazis over there?
Have you read the Pandora Papers on this Jewish corrupt president?
Who, Zelensky?
Yes, the Pandora Papers that dropped 6 months ago about the corruption with Zelensky. They thought they were getting a non-corrupt president, something like how the Trumpers thought they were getting someone who was outside because he was a businessman and he was on TV. Zelensky was on TV. He never had any political anything. He had a public production company that he built, who then created the Servant of the People, which is a new political party, and then helped him become president within 6 months after his show ended.
I can tell you is this. He's standing out front during this war, and he's leading from the front. He ain't leading from the rear. But
how do you know this, Jesse?
So whatever criticisms you've got of the guy, which I didn't study Zelensky. I don't really know who he is. I'm only judging him.
We're on the verge of World War III right now. You should be. You should be definitely. So they took your platform
here's the thing,
because of RT. Jesse, they're taking people. Did you hear about the cosmonaut who they took out of the museum just because he was Russian?
Yeah, I did.
What they're doing to the Russian people who have nothing to do
and these
with
are things
and
that
we're cheering it on. Facebook is allowing people.
To
threaten Russians openly as long as they do it in the name of Ukraine. Right now, check this out. Right now on my Facebook, my profile has a Nazi flag that's on a Ukraine flag, and it says "Stand with Ukraine," and Facebook will not do anything about it.
And these are things that we've seen throughout wars, throughout history. That you're always going to have the real tragedy of it is you have the animosity built up, and a lot of people want to follow the animosity to a people as a whole, and not just the leaders who are calling for a war.
And the first
and here's the thing, of course. And here's the thing, Rand. Well, and here's the thing, Rand. Regardless of who is in Ukraine or what political beliefs they hold, whether there's Nazi sympathizers or neo-Nazis or whoever. At the end of the day, no invasion is ever justified.
No, it is
Correct. So we can get all wrapped up in all of the details and all things like that. At the base core, we all have to stand and say there's no such good. There's no good that comes from an invasion, and so you can stand against the invasion.
That's
now,
right.
because you stand against the invasion doesn't mean that you then narrow your view and say, okay, every single Ukrainian's a great person, or every single Russian's an evil person, or vice versa. Of course, it's gray. There's no such thing as black and white in this world. There's no such thing as all truth or no truth. It's all gray. But at the end of the day, you just have to look at it and say you can stand opposed to an invasion and want to see that end, and then at the same time, I think everybody here can agree that we want to see it peacefully end, and we don't want to see an escalation of war. No one does, and that's where you can everyone can, I think, find a common ground to stand on and say that's why
the bottom line to me is this: I don't give a crap how they got there right now. I don't care who did what to who prior. The only thing I care about at this very moment was that the Russians crossed into another country and invaded them.
Yeah,
and that to me makes them wrong.
Right, and
because
Rand, thank you for coming up. By the way, we got to end the show.
There is no excuse they can give me for what I'm watching on TV of what they're doing to innocent people. I don't care how many so-called neo-Nazis are there or whatever. The people that are dying are not neo-Nazi, and the people fleeing the country are not neo-Nazi. And so I cannot forgive. To me, it's as basic as black and white. If Ty just said everything's gray, not when it gets to the point of who invades who.
Correct.
There's no excuse for Russia to invade Ukraine.
And hey,
Rand, and cause what they're doing.
And Rand, thanks for coming up, man. We got to close out the show here. That's why I had to send you back down. But no, thank you everybody for coming up tonight. Great conversations we've had tonight here at the governor's
I hope I was
office.
clear on that, Ty.
Oh, I think you were very clear on that.
To me, they cannot give me an excuse that, Zelensky was doing this before and he fraudulently got into power, so that gives the right for the Russians to come in and straighten it out and get rid of Nazis. No.
There's political ends to be able to do that don't involve invasion.
Yeah, that's right.
That don't involve mass killing.
Innocent military kids being sent to war again for a bunch of politicians who fail in the first. Like I said from the beginning, wars happen because politicians fail.
Exactly.
And there's failure on both sides. It takes failure on both sides. Then you got a war.
Exactly. Well, everybody, thank you for joining us tonight. Yep. Awesome room.
Thanks, everybody.
Total
and I'm
pleasure.
done with his name was Rant, and I finished with a rant.
Thank you, everybody, for coming up. Always a pleasure to have all your viewpoints and all your thoughts. Have a great night, everybody.
I mean, as you can see there, the great and powerful Governor Jesse Ventura doesn't even know what's actually happening in Ukraine, and then cuts me off. Jesse, you don't have a job. You could have kept the conversation going, and I could have let you know that the Azov battalion has been bombing and murdering Russian-speaking Ukrainians for 8+ years because they're fucking Nazis. They're generational Nazis, something you know nothing about or care to know about. You are part of the fucking problem, Jesse. Peace.